Common Puritan Practices by Jacob Pedraza. How to punish an adulteress. If a married woman was found in bed with a man who is not her husband, there were multiple ways of punishment. Initially, they would get a public whipping for the sin they had committed. Secondly, they would have to wear scarlet letters spelling AD for adulteress. If they do not wear these letters, the consequence would be another public whipping. Another means of punishment was to be tied behind a cart and led through town while being whipped. Sometimes imprisonment was involved, also including fines. Lastly, some were forced to be put into stocks and were whipped that way. How to punish a witch. If a person was suspected of being a witch, the townsfolk would perform various tests to prove or disprove if that person was or not. One notable test would be the ducking stool. A suspected witch would be tied to one end of a teeter-totter type device, and the other end would be held by an accuser. The accuser would then let go, and if the person started drowning, they were pure. If they started floating, it meant that they were a witch using magic powers to stay afloat. Handling someone who believes in creating their own destiny. If a person were to go against the defaults of the Puritans, they could easily be tortured or killed. Puritans were very close-minded about their religion. Their belief was that they were the only true religion and that their authorities should enforce it. Labor. Most men were ministers, yet both men and women helped out on farms. Women did most of the work, like weaving cloth, making soap and candles, working in fields, tending gardens, and cutting wood. Common dress. Puritans outlawed the wearing of lace, and also made strict rules regarding how a woman should dress. She had to wear a shift, a corset, a long petticoat, and her skirt had to touch the floor. If she didn't wear a skirt, a gown or waistcoat would work too. Following general rules. The rules the Puritans lived by were very strict. A few rules included, don't start fights, don't tell secrets, don't eat for too long, and so on and so on. If any rule was broken, the result would be anywhere from branding to hanging. Prayer. Since God was a very crucial part of the Puritans' lives, they prayed as often as they could. Such instances would be praying before sleeping, upon waking up, on Saturdays, and at church services. Calvinism. The Puritans were very faithful Calvinists, which were followers of John Calvin. He taught them that God was a very powerful sovereign, and that he only chose for a few people to have a peaceful afterlife. All of the others would simply have the exact opposite. Since nobody knew if they were going to have a tranquil afterlife or not, they were in a constant state of anxiety. Honoring the Lord's Day. Because God was such an important part of the Puritans' lives, they felt that reserving an entire day of each week for him was a respectful thing to do. Sunday was the day chosen by the Puritans because it's the day that Jesus rose from the dead. On this day, all Puritans would attend church.